horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and joining me to chew the fat this evening are two very distinguished guests. Firstly, John Lang of John Joe's Blog Spots. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Lee.
Good evening. And certainly last but not least, we've wheeled out Adam Norman, Paddock Sleuth, to join in the slamming and the slating of the racing fraternity. Adam Norman, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, boys. Good to be back.
Yes, it's a good show this week because we've got plenty to chew over. So yes. I'm not going to stay too long with the chit chat. But yesterday's racing, we'll start on. Obviously, a very small matter of a certain match race that no one's talked about.
Yeah.
A few are getting tired of it already, but obviously hashtag the road to Doncaster, John. I mean, we're looking at 61 days, people. 61 days till that beautiful green baize is unleashed on Town Moor. But anyway, So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yes, Ergameme and Shishkin yesterday. Adam, I'm coming to you first on your views of the race and anything you're taking out of it en route to Cheltenham.
Listen, I am no longer a spring chicken, right? And maybe I've been betting and gambling too long in this game, but I found it very hard to get quite as emotional as everybody else seemed to do. It was a good race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we didn't know right until the death who was going to do it. But was it really up there with the great races of yesteryear? Nostalgia is not what it used to be and all that sort of thing. But it doesn't really feature in my top 10 or 20 probably of races. What do you guys think? Have I caught
You are probably in a minority of racing Twitter, but there's certainly a fair few.
Oh, there's a surprise,
and it's growing in terms of the people's boredness of the race. John, are you in Adam Norman's camp for boredom?
It certainly wasn't affirmed and allied down knocking spots off each other for half a mile, was it?
No.
Something like that,
I did see a thread on Twitter of the mention of Grundy Bustino.
Oh, for God's sake!
And people with tears in their eyes and stuff like this. It's like, I'm not 13 anymore. I was there for Dawn Run. I was there for Sea Pigeon's second one. I was there. It's like, come on, please. Look, if people want to get emotional and enjoy and all that sort of thing, look, that's great, and we should celebrate all this blah blah blah. However, surely the part of the reason why everyone's getting so worked up is that we have so few of these types of races to enjoy these days, and so that's not something to celebrate. It's something to just go, oh, is this, thankfully we've got two horses come together that went head to head, for once outside of Cheltenham. Great. And thank God it turned out to be a race and one didn't fall or run below par,
Yeah.
Well, Nick the Nipper's been on and obviously completely disagrees with us, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what we need.
And he said it reminded me of Grundy versus Bustino.
Well, firstly, it must be the guy's got to be about 60, Nick the Nipper, to remember Grundy and Bustino, right? And unless he's watched it several times on the video.
54.
He's actually a friend of mine. He came to York to have a pint with me at the Ebor meeting.
But is it just because it was run at Ascot? Because if you've seen Grundy and Bustino, was there not a pacemaker that set a fast pace? Yeah, two pacemakers.
Yeah.
And these two locked horns, what, a furlong out or a furlong and a half, and it was literally head bobs all the way. It was, it really did it does set your hair, the back of your neck, or whatever the phrase is, and were they the same again? I don't know. So most people say they weren't. Fair enough. But this was to say this was on a par with that. It's just I can't. I'm sorry. I've barely got any ribs left to break after laughing so hard.
Well, he goes on to say, so basically, he says that what would you do like towards Cheltenham? As in, Ruby Walsh apparently has said that the Mullins horse was very tired this morning, or seemed very quiet. So is
man, of course it was.
Yeah. Another thing, if we come on to sort of rating this race in handicapping terms, I must admit I'm struggling with this one, and because First Flow obviously won a Peterborough, and First Flow's got some high class 2 mile form, and obviously was absolutely tanked to oblivion by these two. Shishkin's took half of the birch with him on the way around.
You're just not going to give Shishkin the respect he deserves, are you? Is there going to be a point where you're going to go?
Well, listen.
Okay.
Listen, as a sizable layer of Shishkin, and listeners could be pleased to know, I did my
done it again.
Yeah, done it in. I was counting it. I'd spent it. I was thinking of like maybe a spring holiday somewhere, in between,
really? Wow.
In between Doncaster and Newbury, and I'm thinking this is good. This is good. Ergomemes, whack Ben Keith for hundreds of thousands, and also it's filled my pot. But sadly, Shishkin thought otherwise and decided to. Plug in late. I mean, I'll put 175 on Shishkin. That's what I've done. 175. Right. That's my assessment of it. But I think it's
tricky.
It is tricky to rate because that had put First Flow on obviously as running way below form, and he probably did. I don't know, but I was impressed with him in the Peterborough First Flow. But
yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised. Was it? Once Ergonomine or whatever it's called took up the running, was Bass correct in holding up First Flow? Because he was quite keen in behind, and I just thought, Bass, you need to kick on, fella.
Yeah, I mean,
as they started going downhill, I thought, I'm not entirely pleased with this.
It's as if Bass thought, well, I'm not supposed to be part of this race.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. Yeah,
everyone's talking about the big two, and it's like, should I really spoil Ergomene's chance by, going up front,
upside, and
then that'll ruin the match. Because it might soften up Ergomene. Shishkin might win 15, and everyone said, well, you just but whatever. I mean, I think it's a difficult one to rate. I really do, because I don't believe First Flow is that far behind these.
Do you find it important to rate these kind of races, Lee? Is it? I mean, because they're not going to run in handicaps anyway, are they? So does it really matter what like time 180, 181, whatever it's like? Because they're just going to go to the Queen Mother, the Melling, the Tingle Creek. The Queen Mother, you know what I mean.
For me personally, no, because every race is going to end up completely different.
Yeah, but it's purely a legacy thing, isn't it?
I think it's just like listeners. I think from hearsay like sometimes to hear what you think of a performance. So yeah, it's a numbers game for me. It's like we do with flat horses. We have a sectional time figure. We plow them with a rating, and I think that's the game likes that. I mean, that's probably the English racing downfall to a degree with the Irish at Cheltenham, because I always believe our handicappers, for example, hammer our horses unnecessarily for winning uncompetitive 4 or 5 runner chasers. They might win by 20 lengths, but you've got to confirm that the second or the third has ran its race. And I think that's a very difficult thing to do because you don't know the level of fitness. You don't know, they never seem to take into account the mistakes the second will make throughout a race or the third will make. It's just like, well, we'll put the second on the mark that it's officially rated.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Yeah. It's funny to say that. Can we briefly go back to a race last week at Warwick where a horse called 3 Under Through 5 won the novice chase in the McNeil colours. Do you remember that race?
Yeah.
It's got a posh name. I can't remember what it is, and Doyen Breed was second of Sandy Thompson's, and I felt that Doyen Breed made a few mistakes, as did the third Any News, and like you say, I don't think that was, there's a possibility that it didn't run to that big a mark.
Yeah.
And he's only been beaten 3 lengths by 3 Under Through 5 in the end. He was idling, but that was just an example that I've been thinking about, where Doyen Breed's like 145 now. Well, you put him up against a 145 rated Irish handicapper. Well, good luck with that.
No chance. Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed. And that's the problem. That's what I mean. Not only the artificial help that the Irish have been getting, I mean, for years, it literally is all the drug scandals over there. We know it goes off. It's stupid to say it doesn't. I mean, Hennessy, the Coral Hurdle winning trainer, he got done for, he got found with absolutely bundles full for his greyhounds. And look at that thing in the Coral Hurdle last year. That Paul Hennessy trained. I mean, it's embarrassing. It won by a potato field. It might have been entitled to sort of show a good race on its form. I do agree, but not to that extent. Yeah. And it's same with Mick Winters with Chatham Hill Lad, was it in one of the?
Well, everyone thought that was brilliant, and Mick Winters is a great character now, and I just thought this is pantomime.
Yeah. I mean. He could have gone round it. He could have done on that day. He could have done another lap and still been 3 fences clear. God knows what was in that. Yeah. But that was just. But I mean, that's where we're at. Anyway, rest of the racing. Forget the boring match race. John Bon went to Haydock and did his thing. Thoughts on that, guys? John Bon, has he sort of decimated his supreme credentials on that performance?
Well, he won't beat yours, will he?
I don't think he can beat Constitution Hill, no. But I'm going to put in a little thing here that Haydock is a notoriously sharp 2 miles, and if you don't get close, I thought the ride was poor. And listening to Henderson, Popeye, his tactics were poor. He said, "Oh, we knew there was going to be pace on, so we'll take our time." That's not one track you take your time. Ask Don McCain with his front runners round there, like quickening off the bend like a rat up a drain pipe. Haydock is not the place to take your time. So I think it's left a lot on the track there, and I think Henderson was right in that. John Bon quickened twice. It quickened to stay up with Rainbow Lake and the other one that was pulling hard early in the straight, and then coming to the last, I thought the foot it showed to go again.
I quite like that. Yeah.
Was quite impressive.
The style of a good horse. Yeah.
So if you're on John Bon anti-post or you're a John Bon fan, don't be put off. Blogger. Well, no, I don't know if he's constitutional now. He might have switched. He likes a fav. But yeah, I wouldn't be put off by that. I wouldn't be thinking that. Well, that's him. He didn't look impressive there.
How did the stats stack up for the Rossington Main as a Cheltenham? As a Cheltenham, I think it's pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a renowned sort
stats
of
wise. I think he's bang up against it, John Bon.
Yeah.
And if you looking at that result, in the black and white, beating Richmond Lake, giving it some weight. Like you say, I think. Do you think the race will do him good or do him bad? Do you think he's left too much there for
I think it'll do him good because I think mentally it'll bring him on, and I think whatever the official rating they give him for that, I think you can add 10 on.
10.
10.
It's a big number.
It is. But Haydock does not play to the strengths of those that are ridden like that.
I like the way he picked up, and he like you say, I think he'll learn a lot more, much more streetwise after that.
Yeah.
Stone Bros, there before, ready for Punchestown.
Yeah. Of course, Royal Pagaille was joining the Jadamian Twin Oaks Club.
You released that stat on Friday, didn't you? And he's gone and done it. I mean, easily the highlight of the weekend for me was the appearance of Richie and his new hairdo.
Oh, good God!
I like this guy. I like the cut of his jib. I like the guy.
I bet you bet bright customers don't.
I took one look at him. I thought, hang on, is he gone for a mouse's tail there at the back? This is extraordinary. But no, he's gone full American redneck. Well, I quite liked it.
Yeah.
Quite liked it. Easily the highlight for me.
I can see some punters that basically were with Bet Bright and had all their anti-post Cheltenham bets cancelled because Richie had got some terrible books that year.
I thought it was very interesting that he's obviously been in touch with Michael Fabricant's barber and had all the offcuts weaved into a rather interesting three-piece suit.
The absolute scenes in this house, I was loving that. Absolutely loved it. And that came in minutes after he'd beaten the only horse that didn't fall out the back of the TV for me yesterday, Sam Brown, who I think would have probably won with a decent jump at the last. I think he lost ground 3 out and at the last, Sam Brown. And I think he'd have won with a couple of decent leaps. I think Royal Pagaille's jumping was superb up the straight.
Yeah, I
think it won it for him.
I called that wrong a bit. I didn't say it on the pod on Friday, but I never thought Sam Brown has been at his very best over stamina sapping trips, even though he likes the juice. If you look, his best performance for me, came at Haydock over 2.5.
No, I did look at that myself. Yeah, I did. I just think he's just massively unexposed at 3.
But I was disappointed at Aintree how he folded.
I just think he's obviously, he could. I presumed I wasn't there. I presumed that he was just needing it. I don't know. He's a funny horse who's not great looking and doesn't move great. He's a proper mudlark, and he would have been much better on deeper ground than that stuff yesterday. But on his day, I did think he was the overpriced one that could pop up, and what he's going to do next time out, I've no clue. Probably revert to pulling up or something. But it's a shame. A good race there, I thought that, and again you see pictures of De Boinville and was it Townend on Energamy.
Yeah,
sort of shaking hands afterwards. I mean, did people not see Coleman and Deutsch do the same thing? It's like it happens all the time. There's great camaraderie in a great finish. Happens all the time. There's no why do we have to laud these these things that supposedly are put up on the front page as great sports. It's like it happens all the time. It's like infantilizing something that is just a great part of the sport, and virtually every other sport, just great sportsmanship, at that level.
Yeah, take it on board. 2 more things from Saturday. I've been asked to look at a couple of, people say questionable rides. One was one of my bets that I put out, Banks Boyne Golf Club 2019's been on Twitter, and he said, I hope you're going to discuss the Jack Kennedy ride. Racing just can't keep doing this to punters and get away with it. I've watched the race numerous times now, and I'm still in disbelief at what I've seen. The Stewart report says that that Jack Kennedy said the horse was leery and didn't want to hit the front too soon. I mean, where I stand on it is probably I'm probably more, Golf Club will be going berserk at my comments here because obviously I backed the horse. I didn't have that much on because of the drift, and I did point out that it'd be interesting to see the market. And sadly, the horse got there. It travelled like the wrath of God. Looked like it was going to win 5 minutes. Went 101 in running, and sort of Archibalded it for me. But then I then look at Jack Kennedy's sort of riding action in the closing stages. The producer, by the way, is adamant it was Jack not that bothered about winning. But I mean,
really,
I mean, the thing is, if you're not bothered about winning, would you have given up 2 out, wouldn't you?
He would have just pulled it in behind horses, surely.
You'd have just sauntered from there, and done a bit of chicken wings, a bit like in the spins. So I'm not really in the camp of. I just think Jack might have looked a bit untidy, but maybe that was the horse that was making him like that. Put it this way, Golf Club 2019 on that one, I just think time will tell. I think we'll look in a couple of runs and think either Jack Kennedy was bang on or maybe there was something else to it. We don't know, but I think time will tell with that one, and I don't think I'm not prepared to make a sort of a sweeping statement that the horse wasn't that.
Lee, were you watching your horse throughout the race? Because there were so many runners.
Yes.
I was looking at because John had Endlessly in it, didn't he?
He did a tremendous.
And I was trying to pick out which one was which, and that wasn't Endlessly gambled into 8s or something.
33's down about 5s, I think.
Right. So I was trying to figure out who was who, and then this thing loomed up on the outside. So how was Kennedy? Was he literally plumb last turning in or something? Or
I was watching the pair of them. I was watching Endlessly, and I was watching Banks Boy.
They weren't that far apart, really.
No, they were sort of. I remember I said to the producer, I said they sort of upsides each other turning in, and Endlessly sort of took a sort of mid-pack route. Jack Kennedy swung wide, both travelling well, and you thought, well, both have got big chances. And as I said, I honestly like I say, I would have said Jack Kennedy would have probably, if the plan was not to be anywhere near, you would have definitely not come wide. You'd have took the horse.
Definitely.
And finished 7th or 8th, and then people going, oh well, here we go. So I don't.
You say the horse has either dogged it. Or I mean, the other one pulled out more when he came to him, didn't he?
He did. John says off air, didn't you, John, that you think that both the second and third could have run into one anyway.
Well, I just think it's funny, I mean, the fourth, despite being 28-1, was actually backed. It was one of Jesse's. And I think the fifth was a fairly reliable yardstick. I think that could prove to be rather a good race for the grade, shall we say?
Indeed. The other question I can come to is from our Sunday sermon panelist, Lorne Malvo. He was upset. He says, Sassy Rascal yesterday at Leafy, 9-2 to 16 on the exchanges. Misses the start by miles in a sprint and wasn't beaten far. Well, again, conspiracy theorists, foil hatters, I'm putting you in your place because that horse has done that before at Lingfield and actually won. If you go back in its form, I think it was about November time or October time, the horse basically missed the break and finished incredibly fast out wide. And I think also just very quirky. I think that's it. And you know how things work. It's trained by a very prominent Newmarket trainer in George Bowie. He's probably told the punters, I don't like this. I don't like mine. It's a bit iffy. It's a bit of an iffy character. Could win. And of course, no one's backed it. So I just genuinely think it's one of those. So sorry, mate, but no, I don't see any wrongdoing there, unfortunately.
No one could watch less all-weather racing than me. Isn't that one of the great, one of the easiest ways to stop a horse is to just pull it back at the start when the gates open? Is that?
It is. It is. But had it not done that before?
Yes. Yeah, I hear you.
Like as in, it missed it by 4 or 5 before and still won. Then. Anyway, we'll move on quickly to today. Obviously, Lingfield's sort of brilliant prize money for match races. A couple of questions on Lingfield. Spencer Bolt's been on, and Adam, you probably relate to this because you go racing quite a bit. And he says the admission prices for Lingfield was disgraceful. £35 Friday and £39 today. I mean, that is absolutely that's just terrible, isn't it?
It's ghastly behaviour. I mean, I I don't know where all this Winter Million stuff has come from, to us. I just don't follow the politics of racing that closely. So it sort of surprised me when I saw these entries on Tuesday and Wednesday. I was like, what's going on here, sort of thing. But I've been to the likes of Newcastle this year, and I think they charged 28 to go a couple of Saturdays ago. And you just think, what are they literally trying to dissuade people to go? I just don't really know what there must be a business plan behind hiking prices, but I can't for the life of me understand it, to be honest. I'd have to sort of get the back of a fag packet and start doing some numbers, but it's hard to justify that kind of price hike. I don't know what are the facilities like at Ling these days. I've not been for about 20 years.
Extremely average.
Well, most of them are. I quite like going to Southwell, but Newcastle, Southwell, Sedgy, where else would I go? Utox. They're quite hit and miss, and they cater primarily to the boozers, don't they? These days, they make these big.
That's the thing. It's all lads, and it's all.
Well, once you've paid 38 quid to get in, and then you're paying what, 5.5 quid for a lager, and 8 quid for a crappy burger. It's like, do you want me to bend over as well? So you can just shaft me a bit harder. I don't, it's
dreadful.
It's pretty poor, I think.
John, your take on this?
Well, you can make your way into Middlesbrough, go down Albert Road, go to the back of the Royal Exchange, you can get a blowjob behind a biffa bin for 12 quid.
Is it toothless as well?
No, she keeps them in.
Is it 25? Is it a pony for toothless?
It's a pony if you don't know what you're doing and you don't negotiate. But
all right. I mean, what's the local charging these days at Redcar? What do they charge?
Look, if I know, I don't pay.
To be honest, I can't remember last time I paid to get in Redcar either.
I as a regular punter, I'm not the kind of person who goes, I'm going to so and so today, can I have a badge sort of thing, or have you got one going? I don't mind giving back to racing. I'm a free market capitalist. I'm quite happy to pay my dues, when necessary. You know what I mean? But that does, so it just, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying. I honestly don't know what they're trying to achieve with that. What good can come of that sort of thing?
No,
because prize money isn't gonna, that's not going to go to prize money, is it? Or it's not going to justify the prize money that they're putting out this weekend, is it?
Makes no economic sense for me.
Not really, mate. No.
I think you need to attract a lot of fans to racing. That's certainly not going to do it.
Well, that sort of segues into, I don't know if this was the plan, but it segues into the size of the fields today. I mean, why aren't I just don't get why trainers can't run their horses. So what have you got? You've got a 2.5 mile hurdle, right? 3 horses line up. One's come over from Ireland, and the prize money goes down to, what was it, $5,000 for fourth. Yeah. Like, I just don't get it, lads. I don't understand. Can someone please tell me, please?
If Gavin Cromwell doesn't send his runners today, obviously you've got an $100,000 hurdle for as a match race.
Yeah.
The 2 runners. I mean,
I don't understand that because if you, I can't remember what the race was. Was it yesterday? $26,000 race to the winner, the novice chase, I think it was, or maybe it's today. Yeah, it was the race Warlords won. So the example is, so you get $26,000 if you win, right? And the 3 horses that finished in the bunch were like mid 140s, right? So you're a 130. You go in there with a 135, 136 horse. You receive £4 and you happen to beat them, right? You've won 26k, but you're going to go up £5 or £6, probably a bit more, right? What harm is that going to do? I'm assuming that you're not running in that race because you don't want to ruin your mark, right? But you try and win a 0 to 140 off 136 or whatever. Yeah. I know have you seen the 0 to 140s at like Bangor and Exeter? You get like $7,000. So you've got to win 3 of those to cop what you've just picked up in one race by beating 3 other horses. I just don't. I mean, is that why they're not running? I don't know.
Well, it's a proven thing. I mean, there's been a big thing this winter about national hunt field sizes.
Yeah,
and
it's a massive hot potato, isn't it?
Yeah,
that no one seems to be able to find the answer to, even after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well. I mean, R.I.P. to Master Tommy Tucker today. You know, lost a good old stick there,
Yeah.
and I think if racing's to have problems in the future in attracting audiences and attracting sponsors, because don't forget, if you don't get sponsors commercially, it's a dead duck. And we've got a situation here, for example, where we do not have a sponsor for the flagship race of the national hunt season. We do not have a blue chip spot. Blue chip companies aren't going to sponsor, with all due respect, national hunt racing. In my view, it's not the in thing with their crowd, and that's a massive problem that racing faces. That's the first sport, after the triggers have done with the single customer view and the affordability on problem gambling, which we'll come to later in the show. They'll make no mistake. The first part of racing they will come for is national hunt racing. That's the first one. That it's cruel. It causes too many accidents, too much loss of life for these equine animals, and they'll bring a case like they've done with the problem gamblers, the odd one chucking themselves off a bridge, etc. So everyone's got to be punished. It's the same sort of scenario. They will find another topic, and if they come for racing, national hunt racing, mark my words, is the first to go. Or be under pressure, let's say. So I think that's where we're at, and I think the field sizes. I mean, you look at people say, well, they're saving the horses for Cheltenham. Well, hang on a minute. British entries for Cheltenham are down. It's dominated by Irish entries. They've fallen again. So. Is it what it is? Have we not got enough stock? Is there too much racing? Is it what is it?
There's definitely too much racing.
Yeah,
definitely too much racing. But I still don't get why you can't run. Even if you've got a 128 horse who you think's badly handicapped, and pick up $5,000 for finishing fourth.
Well, right. the mystery. They've actually outlawed Mr. Sadiq, haven't they? I mean, Mr. Sadiq, the racehorse trainer, often runs his family pets for years, trying to pick up the third place in the small field novice chases. Yes. Now they've shoved one right up Mr. Sadiq by saying sort of like minimum, I think 120 rated.
Oh, really? So like the Amrulla of the Amrulla was the favourite, wasn't it? Yeah.
So you couldn't get Sadiq turning up trying to nick his $4,500 for last.
Well, I spoke to Rebecca Menzies a few weeks ago at the races, and she sent a horse to Cheltenham. She had one she fancied. I can't remember what the race was, and she sent another one in the because they had a 2-horse lorry. She had another horse that she noticed there was a small entry, a small declaration for a novice hurdle. I think it was a mare's novice hurdle, and it wasn't. It was just a novice hurdle, and she put in one of her horses to pick up. It was out of its depth, but they sent it down. It won $4,500 for finishing last, tailed off, and back to the yard in one piece.
That's it.
Won at Sedgefield next time, and she's like, well, and I said, like, you should be. If I was an owner, that is exactly what I'm paying you to do.
Yeah, find the opportunity.
That is fantastic training, and I think Bex is honestly, I think she's a fantastic prospect, and she's got every single thing covered. And I think that's the kind of thing that you need to do.
You do for your owners. But John, I mean, this comes back to the, for me again, they're on the wrong path with this, aren't they? I mean, like horses picking up $4,500 for getting beat 170 lengths. That's not where we need to put the prize money, is it?
That's not. No. It's just a sad state of affairs, I mean, I keep saying, if trainers keep backhailing these opportunities, stop giving them the opportunities.
Yeah.
If you don't get the turnout for a race, scrap it.
I kind of get the modern way of training now that it's usually trainers love to give the national hunt horses, sort of the good ones anyway, at least 6 to 7 weeks off to prepare for the next race. and I think that's where they don't think outside the box. They don't think, well, we'll just turn up here and we may as well just have a float around. And I
think Nichols is probably an exception, isn't he?
Mm.
He'll run horses a week after they've just won their big race, and can't think of a recent example, but like he used to he'd send up 6 to Kelso for their good prize money. Even though they'd just run 2 weeks before. It's like, well, you might as well just have a pot. Just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It frustrates the hell out of me, lads. It's just, honestly, it's just, I don't want to go. I was at Catterick the other day, solid card, and in the middle of the card there was a novice hurdle where one of McCain's like 1 to 6 or something. It just shouldn't happen. There must be ways of having a competitive 6 race card from start to finish. It's 2022 and we're still talking about this that should really have been, attacked from a different angle. At least try different things. I don't. Yeah. But I think we know the answer is, or the point is that there are too many people. There are too many factions with too many fingers in the pie pulling in all different directions, aren't there?
Yeah, and that comes from leadership from the top, because if the leadership from the top got it right, then it would all filter downwards.
You achieve nothing by consensus, least of all with the idiots involved in racing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right, Carl Swanson's got a question regarding Lingfield Clark of the course. I can answer this one quickly. He said, how can they call the ground heavy, soft in places, having had no rain for 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. I think if you looked at the times on Friday, Carl, they were probably soft ground times. Today, I would say soft ground, good to soft in places on a time-based level. Obviously, it's probably a different kind of ground because it's not had any rain. But at the same time, I just think, I think that could have been worked out by looking at Friday's times for today anyway, that it wasn't necessarily going to suit absolute soup monsters. I think, one more question before we come on to the next subject, which is from Councillor Woodman. Councillor Woodman, yes. And he said there seems to be a number of adverts for help with erectile dysfunction during live racing on TV. Should we all be worried in case this is targeted advertising? Dong, dong, dong. John, have you seen these adverts? Dong, Johnson, dong.
Very concerning that you come to me first about adverts.
Yeah, I was going to say John can take this one.
Erectile dysfunction. I think it might be something to do with the fact that racing is trying to get on Netflix at the moment. There's a bit of a story doing the rounds. I think there's something on motor racing appearing on Netflix, and as racing is never one to lead, always to follow, it's trying to get a documentary type series going on Netflix. And obviously they could have the adverts halfway through the racing programme on there. And I've actually took the liberty of emailing Julie Harrington about this. And I've made a suggestion for what we could actually have on Netflix. And I've called it Racing Bad. And it's where Pony Club chairman Ron Bodson finds out he has a terminal yeast infection he picked up at the last Tory party conference. He knows he won't be able to earn a living once the blue rinse mothers at the Pony Club find out he's packing something that grows faster than his pecker in his undies. And he can't earn, he won't be able to grease the local MP and ensure no houses are built in his corner of Little England. But he notices his groom at the Pony Club, Benjamin Ware, Ben for short, has a nice line in recreational Go Faster Pele pills, and he decides to start making the stuff and giving it to racehorses. So they strip down to their undies for no reason other than that they like it that way and start to cook. And that's the premise for Racing Bad on Netflix.
Is there something about, like these substances they give it? Isn't Viagra supposed to help the horse's performance? Is there something?
Well, the National Stud item might shed some light on that one. I don't know. I've never given a racehorse Viagra.
No,
To be honest.
I've heard some stories. I've heard cocaine, Viagra. I've heard cobra venom.
You would imagine Viagra would help them grow a leg for sure.
Yeah, especially Well, I mean, it's worrying. I mean, I always think if it's targeted advertising, in other words, so they're saying that all horse racing followers, well, not all, but certainly a good proportion of racing followers possibly suffer from erectile dysfunction. Obviously, the elderly side, maybe, or maybe the younger side. I don't know. Not everyone can get a woody.
In the mid-90s, I did about 5 large in at the Ava, mate, and I think it was about 10 days before there was any sort of stirrings down below.
I always had you down as a purple doorman. At the Ledger meeting,
Well, I think it was the purple door at the Ledger meeting before I showed any interest after that particular Ava performance. Took the wind right out my sails.
I personally put it, if there is any sort of erectile dysfunction amongst racegoers, I reckon it's the constant disappointment of doing it in. It's difficult to get a stir on after doing it in. So yeah,
it does take the wind out of your sails, doesn't it?
It certainly does, especially after the last 2 days I've had. Terrible. It's dark room and a very potent spirit that raises my spirits. Right, we'll move on to a couple of topics to come. First one, interestingly, is regarding the National Stud, and everyone knows I've got the odd mole down at HQ. Who fed the Hugo Palmer to Michael Owen story, which is 100% no matter what you've heard in the media. And the other story I've had is to do with the National Stud. And I was kind of shocked by this because obviously it's not got any media traction or anything. I even tagged a post on Twitter with Chris Cook to try and get the story going. We love a bit of gossip. Everyone loves gossip in racing. It must do anyway, because we've had some followers from Newmarket Studs since I posted that, which is quite interesting on Twitter. And what I've heard is basically there's some employees there. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to incriminate anyone because it's not really my position to. But apparently one of the people there has kept their mares there and billed it to the National Stud. I don't know if it's the same employee or if it's another employee that's sexually assaulted a girl that works there, but that's under obviously investigation. And other fingers in pies, I'm told. Some mass fiddling. Just thinking about this, John. Teddy Beckett has just taken over there. Looks like he's got a job on his hands, John.
He won't be phased at all. My concern is that he doesn't realise he's actually changed jobs. And if anybody asks him about any of this, especially the culprit that's carrying out the assault, he'll probably say, well, I'll have to speak to Roger Charlton to see where he goes next.
I mean, does it surprise you, though, like at a stud like this, that I'd have thought this had been happening all the time. Like basically you slide one of your own mares in there, that you've bought at sales or whatever, and just stick it under books as if it's, I mean.
Well, I think if I had mares and I worked at a stud, there's no way I'd be paying for their keep, and they'd probably be lodging at the stud.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a manager. If you're a manager, then and you run the show, it's kind of.
Well, you can say anything, can't you? To anybody that's like reporting to you, you can just say, look, that's for a special customer or whatever. I mean, you're not going to get questioned.
But I mean, we'll wait for that story to develop, because I've tried to fish for more between the tweet we put out the other day and now, and it's not forthcoming. So obviously there might be some sort of legal things to consider here, but that's what I'm told. I'm pretty sure it's reliable, but obviously I tagged the National Stud in it and they've not said anything. So it'd be interesting to see how that story develops. or if anyone can poke the finger in pies, get in touch on Twitter on the Bar Stewards, and we'll get it out there.
People poking fingers in pies that cause a fucking trouble.
It sounds like it to me. It's all going on at the National Stud. Typical of racing. Right, we'll move on to the last topic, which is obviously the impending doom for Billy Bunters across the land. That's the single customer view and affordability checks. Now, quite a few of you have been getting in touch with me regarding this, and I'm hearing quite a few horror stories, to be honest. And I kind of nearly smashed the TV this morning when Conor Grant was on Nick Luck. He's the CEO of Flutter, obviously Paddy Power, Betfair, etc. And he came across quite well to most people, but not to me, because I can read between the lines. And he basically admitted that yes, it's already in play, and they have the power, or certainly will have the power to check things like CCJs, defaults, bankruptcies, rifle through your bank information without you sending anything. Soon powers could be released that the bookmaker can see every transaction on your bank statement to be able to have and they make the assessment whether you have a bet. And they're disguising this under the realms of affordability. It is an absolute disgrace to put the fox. I said it before. To put the foxes in charge of the hen house. This can only end badly for the on. But what I don't get, chaps, is the bookmakers are happily walking into this thinking they're going to have an edge here on the punter. They'll be able to trim the business down, get rid of the waste, the unprofitable punters, and they can then make hay and have a big return on investment for shareholders. Everything's rosy. The garden's rosy. That's not going to happen, though, is it?
No, it isn't. And they can't say it. And racing as an entity is absolutely inert over this, isn't it? You know, I mean, we mentioned Jolie Harrington earlier, and it's deeply concerning that she's more interested in getting a documentary on Netflix than she is about doing anything about the way the sport's funded. It's really very depressing, to be honest.
It is, because what it's going to mean is a total transformation in how we all play. Nick the Nipper's been on and said that, for example, he's elderly father. He places bets on Bet365 online. Would have no interest whatsoever in giving them any financial information whatsoever to continue to do so. And then it's back to the shops. And for me, myself, if online becomes a problem in terms of, well, you know, I mean, it's already a struggle with Betfair, to be honest. I've been affordability checked already. I've got a chap asked me the other day for, you know, if I was okay. I mean, what's happened to personal responsibility, Adam, in all this? What has happened to people saying, I am fine, leave me alone?
I think it's all part of the big shift to centralization, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah, well, I think they're all on. Everyone's on board with this disclosure. We must disclose everything, and to take the power of choice and independence and freedom away from the individual, for the conglomerates to decide who should do what. I think it's like you say, it's a very serious issue, and I don't really see once the avalanche started. There's not a great deal you can do other than run for the hills sort of thing. I mean, it is. I'm not saying that we all just sort of hold our hands up and go, it's going to happen. What can we do? Of course we can all do what we can to stand our ground and say this is the line and no further. I mean, I can't believe the kind of stuff that you've gone through already, Lee. In terms of it's not touched me at all, but it seems quite arbitrary in that sense. But this sort of withdrawal of privacy and as you say, the withdrawal of personal responsibility is it's just a part of the big wave of the 2020s, I think, and we've just got to, do we have any power to push back in the other direction? I don't know.
I don't know. This could be too late. I mean, there's a couple of examples I'm going to give. One of them's online. It's at CJ I Hate Feds on Twitter. She's just had a Bet365 sort of suspended because she decided to have a few quid on Shishkin, as in a bit more than what she normally has. So again, we're in a situation where we are basically, these algorithms are picking up things that obviously it's very sensitive. So say if your normal bet's 20 quid, right, and you have £20 on a Saturday fair or whatever, right, it's a bit like saying, right, well, now Shishkin's running, I'm going to have £200 on Shishkin because it's my favourite horse. I want to be part of this, whatever. But then the algorithm goes, well, this person never has £200. Yeah. And what kind of situations that? When I know people that when Frankel won at York in the international, I know people that would normally have, I don't know, £100 on a horse when they got at races or if they fancy one. I know people that had thousands on Frankel that day, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, because I think some of it is they want to be part of I was there that day. I've got my ticket. Yeah. I've placed this big bet. I've rode it home, blogger style, whatever. That's how it is. And I think we're in extremely dangerous times. And I've had an anonymous email. I got screenshots and everything, and it's from Betfair. It's from Betfair Exchange, and I can tell you now that this chap in particular, he's a fan of the show, listens to the show, and finally Betfair have got rid of him. And this is a small punter. His deposits are 3,919. His withdrawals are 3,580. So he's lost £339. He was allowed a penny on the sports book, so he decided to place his hand to trading on the exchange. He thought, well, they won't let me have a bet on the sports book, so I've decided to try and trade on Betfair Exchange. And they have, they've closed him down because they asked him for details. They asked him to provide sensitive financial information. He wasn't prepared to do so. Like I said, he's not a big punter either. I can guarantee you, he's not one of these sharps. He's not a sharp. He's not someone that's trying to have a bookmaker over. And he's just an average, everyday punter that has, small bets. And because they refused him on the sports book, they've now kicked him off the exchange. And I think this is where we're at. This is a very scary time. And I don't like where we're going. I didn't like Conor Grant saying that regulatory checks are now here, basically. I don't like Conor Grant, the CEO of Flutter, because he's saying that we under 25s should have a £500 a month deposit limit. This is madness. It is absolutely crazy to come for gambling in such a way. We need it segregating. We need the slots segregating completely from sports and horse racing betting. It's that easy. It's that easy to see. But these massive corporations like Entain, like Flutter, etc., they want to run the show, and they want the profits. They want the big profits. They ain't getting rid of the VIPs. They ain't getting rid of the VIP casino players. Don't you worry about that. They're getting rid of everyday people that are just basically trying to enjoy the sport and have a bet as a show of force to the government and everyone else that they're doing the right thing. They're sorting problem gamblers out. But how scary is that, Adam? So you've got a CCJ from 5-6 years ago, for example. Anyone, or you happen to basically go through bad times. You didn't pay a credit card off, but times are rosy now. You're flying again. It's on your record though. But then a bookmaker sees that and said, well, you're not worthy to have a bet. So you're obviously a problem because you've got a CCJ and a default, so you can have £50 on.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's political, isn't it? It's beyond reason. I mean, I'm terrible at gauging public opinion, though, Lee. I think that's been made pretty clear in the last 2 years. But are we right in saying that there aren't enough people to support this new phase, this transition to revealing all your financial details, or are there, or do the under 30s go? Are they quite happy to do that? Is that just part of being a youngster in today's society?
That's the big.
Are we wrong? Are we wrong?
That's the big question. I mean,
we need to get some 20-odd-year-olds on the bar stewards. Do we know anybody? I don't know anyone that's 20.
We do. Well, that's the problem. I'm the same. Gone are the unless you go in the purple door. You need to go in the purple door.
Yes. Get down there.
Yeah, a few 20-year-olds in there.
Yeah.
We could maybe ask CJ about it.
Ask them their view on affordability check.
Well, that's it. I mean, CJ.
Good chat up line.
Yeah, CJ has just had a account, like I said, restricted from Bet365. Obviously, investigating the fact that she's had probably a few quid on Shishkin.
But if she says, okay, here's a bank statement that says I earn $2,500 a month and I've got 10 grand in an ISA. So okay, great, you can open your account again, and we're all happy. Are people happy to do that? I don't know.
That's the thing. I mean,
I don't know.
Another argument. Let's say so say Betfair investigate me, and I say is £30,000. It's in a savings account. That's my betting fund, and that's what I want to place bets with. Right? I want to bet £30,000. Right? The current system is not set up for that. Right? They will not accept that you have got £30,000 to bet with. They will say you've got £30,000, and it's reasonable to say that you've other living costs, living expenses, this, that, and the other, and they will limit you to say, I don't know, £2,000 a month deposits on that. Right? Well, that's not how I want to bet. I've got 30,000. I want to stick the 30,000 at once. Yeah. Why can't I do that? Why are you stopping me from doing that? And there's so many things they don't cover, and this is very dangerous for the government, for racing in particular. If this comes in, or the Foxes get in charge, I mean, who's deciding this? Who's deciding this?
It's known as authoritarianism, Lee.
Control. That's all we've had. Control across the board. We're being told what we can like. We've been told what we can say. We're told what we can think, how to think. It's just bizarre. It's a bizarre world we're living in right now. And once they've come for gambling, they'll come for other things. They'll come for everything else that we enjoy, or pastimes that are just considered dangerous because so many people decide to chuck themselves off a bridge after doing the brains.
What's the just slightly off topically? What is the? I don't like to call it a black market because that's a kind of a. Let's call it the black market for sake of argument. What is the market for in betting? What is the access for? What is the liquidity in non-regulated betting? Any idea?
I'd say it's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of footballers do it. So all your footballers, Paul Merson. All your footballers, they're betting away.
Yeah.
Like with the unofficial books. There's lots of things happening. I mean,
the thing is, Lee. So what happens is that everyone that they don't want or don't think should be betting don't bet. So they go to the pub and they go, do you know where I can get a bet on? And the guy behind the bar goes, yeah, I've got a mate, blah blah blah. Right. So you're just taking it back to the times when there was just another market, like in America. Like I've got family in America. Brother-in-law just used to bet, at a certain bar, and you settle up at the end of the week, and if you don't, then they send the heavens round. Is that really what? Is that really what the authorities want? The other issue with that, though, Lee, is I think that's a bit sort of short-sighted, because within X amount of years, we won't be handling cash. It'll be crypto. You'll be having bets, through your Bitcoin app or your privacy coin app, Monero or whatever app. It won't be a sort of cash thing, because there won't be any. You know what I mean. So even eventually that market will close down because everything will be digital. And if you want to keep your privacy, you're going to have to use a privacy coin that's not central bank digital currency. It's going to be an alternative.
Yeah, I mean, these are all things for the future.
But let's look at the direction of travel. And that is the direction of travel, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it not?
I mean, it is. I mean, the offline market, the black market. So that's where I am now. I place my bets with unofficial people. That's a fact. There's absolutely no way whatsoever. I mean, yeah, you can exhaust yourself and have 25 burner phones and send people around London shops, but I just find it easier just to make the right calls to the right people, and that's it. It's how it is. And do we want that? I mean, does the government want that? Does anyone? I don't know. Too much restriction, and that's what it equals.
It's like anything, Lee. It's whatever you want to call it, or totalitarianism, authoritarianism, socialism. It's short-sighted rubbish, isn't it? And it's like John said. It's governing by consent. It's complete horse shit. History tells you it doesn't work. It'll all go tits up, and we'll all end up with a grassroots recovery of free market capitalism where stuff works. Whether we're going to be alive to see that, I don't know, but
that's what I think. It'll go full circle. This is how things work. It goes from one extreme to the other.
It's called knowing your history, Lee, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll come back round the other way. It's how it works. But that's where we are. We've had a fantastic show. Thanks to Adam and John. Just one more thing. Mike Owen asked a question about last time out fallers. What's the sort of record with those? Do they underperform next time? Well, I've got some interesting findings on that, Michael. I'm going to post an article around Monday or Tuesday on Barstew's website, and it's a very, very good system indeed on last time out fallers. So thanks for the question. I'll reveal more in the article via the website Monday or Tuesday. We hope you enjoyed the show. That's myself, John, Adam. And we're back on Friday. Fry is back for the Fry fanboys on Friday. She assures me she's back. The calls for Fry. Keep getting calls for Fry all the time. And I understand, because with our tipping, she's missed. So for Catherine Fry will be back on Friday. Quentin Franks.
She started chewing through the straps.
Yeah, absolutely. So exciting times for the Bar Stewards. We hope you've enjoyed today, and we're back with a full show and on Friday. That's all from us. Bye for now.